Welcome to Quiet Reflections. Today I want to share the story of Ethan, a 8-year-old construction foreman in Seattle who spent nearly 20 years building houses, job sites and crews. From the outside, he looked like a man who had everything under control. Strong hands, steady work, a reputation for getting things done. But behind that reputation was something else growing quietly. Anger. The kind of anger that slowly begins to shape every decision a man makes, until one Monday morning on a construction site, that anger finally cost him everything. So what happened between Monday and Friday that changed Ethan completely? Let's slow down for a moment and listen to his story. The boots hit the concrete first, heavy, dusty, old leather creaking as they landed on the ground. Then the hard hat followed, then the silence, and finally the words, "You're done, Ethan." The construction site froze. Monday morning, 7:12 a.m. The Seattle sky hung low and grey over half-framed walls and stacks of lumber. 20 men stood scattered across the site between scaffolding and unfinished floors. Nobody moved, nobody spoke, because everyone had seen what just happened. Ethan stared at his supervisor. "What are you talking about?" The supervisor didn't raise his voice. "You lost it again." Silence spread across the job site, because they had all seen it. The shouting, the wrench thrown across the frame, the words that shouldn't have been said, the anger that filled the air like thunder rolling across steel beams. "You can pick up your last check on Friday," the supervisor said. Ethan didn't respond. He looked down at the boots, worn-out work boots. The leather cracked along the seams, the soles worn thin from years of standing on plywood floors and muddy ground. Boots that had walked across hundreds of job sites, boots that had built houses, garages, decks, entire neighborhoods. Boots that had carried him through almost 20 years of construction work, and now they were walking him off the site. He picked them up slowly, because losing the job wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what came next. Child support, the payment due this week, the same paycheck that kept his life from collapsing. So the real question wasn't what happened on Monday. The real question was what happened between Monday and Friday, because by the end of that week, the man wearing those boots would not be the same man. Seattle wakes slowly. Low clouds drift across the skyline. Rain taps against windows. Coffee shops glow warm against grey sidewalks. Construction trucks fill parking lots before sunrise. Ethan had lived inside that rhythm for most of his life. He started construction at 19, a kid with strong hands and no real plan. The first job was framing houses outside Tacoma. Long days, cold mornings, heavy lumber, but he liked the work. There was something honest about it. You could see progress. Yesterday there was nothing. Today there was a wall. Tomorrow there was a roof. Eventually, Ethan learned everything. Blueprints, measurements, crew management, deadlines. By his early 30s, he became a foreman, the man responsible for keeping everything moving, on time, on budget, done right, and he was good at it. But Ethan had another reputation too, his temper. Everyone on job sites knew it. Tools slammed, voices raised, arguments that echoed across scaffolding. Some workers laughed it off. Some tried to avoid him, but everyone knew the rule. Don't push Ethan too far. For years the work covered the problem. Construction sites are loud, deadlines are tight, pressure is constant, anger blends into the noise. Until one day it doesn't. Ethan's anger didn't start on job sites. It started somewhere deeper. 3 years earlier, his life broke in half. His marriage didn't collapse overnight. It eroded. Arguments about money, arguments about time, Arguments about long hours. Eventually, the arguments turned into silence. And silence is more dangerous than shouting, because silence means something has already broken. Lawyers came next, then paperwork, then courtrooms, and finally the court order. Child support. Every month, the number wasn't small, but Ethan never complained, because the money went to his daughter, Emma, 8 years old, curly hair, bright eyes, the kind of kid who could turn any ordinary moment into something joyful. Every other Saturday they met at the same park. Emma always ran toward him, always. And the first thing she noticed was the boots. "Did you build something today, Dad?" Ethan always smiled, every day. But something had changed in him after the divorce. Anger became easier. Patience became harder. Every mistake on a job site felt personal. Every delay felt like disrespect. And anger became the language he spoke most often, until the Monday morning, when it finally cost him everything. Losing a job rarely explodes all at once. It unravels. First came the quiet drive home, rain sliding across the windshield, Seattle traffic crawling slowly through grey streets. Ethan didn't turn on the radio, didn't call anyone, just drove. When he reached his apartment, he kicked off the boots near the door. They landed against the wall. The room felt strangely quiet. The kitchen table held unopened mail, bills, insurance notices, and one envelope he recognized immediately. Child support reminder. Due this Friday, 4 days away. Ethan sat on the couch, staring at the boots. The leather looked tired, creased from years of bending. He rubbed his face with both hands. The anger inside him started rising again. The same anger that had followed him across job sites for years. But this time, there was no crew to yell at, no worker to blame, just silence, and the sound of rain tapping against the window. Then came Tuesday. No job, no calls, no schedule, just hours, stretching longer than they should. Wednesday came next. Ethan searched job listings, saw message, no replies. The pressure started building. Then the phone call arrived. Child support office. Reminder, payment due. Soon, the anger rose again. But this time, something else appeared with it. Shame. Because deep down, Ethan knew something. He hadn't just lost a job. He had been losing control for years. Thursday afternoon, Ethan sat outside a hardware store, boots beside him, coffee in his hand. Cold now. Construction trucks rolled through the parking lot. Workers climbed out wearing tool belts and bright jackets, laughing, talking, working, a life he had been part of just days earlier. His phone buzzed. Reminder, child support due tomorrow. Friday, the same day his last paycheck arrived. Ethan clenched his fists. The anger came back fast, like a reflex. His chest tightened, his jaw locked. Then the hardware store door opened. An older man walked out carrying lumber. He paused near Ethan, looked down at the boots, then looked at Ethan. But he didn't say anything, just nodded once, and kept walking. For some reason, the moment stuck. The boots, the silence, the look. That night, Ethan sat alone in his apartment. The boots sat near the door. He stared at them, and something strange happened. For the first time in years, he didn't feel angry. He felt tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of reacting. Tired of carrying anger everywhere he went. And that moment became the lowest point of the week. Not because he had lost the job, but because he finally saw the truth. The anger wasn't protecting him. It was destroying him. Friday morning, Ethan returned to the hardware store. Not because he needed tools, because he needed somewhere to go. The same older man was there again, loading lumber into the back of a truck. He noticed Ethan watching. Then he looked at the boot. "You work construction." Ethan nodded. "Used to." The man studied the boots carefully. You can tell a lot about a man by his boots. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? The man pointed at the creases. Those lines mean you've walked a lot of job sites. Then he pointed at the worn soles. And those mean you've been standing your ground a long time. He paused. But boots also show how a man walks through problems. Ethan stayed quiet. The man shrugged. I've worked construction 40 years. Seen a lot of men lose jobs. He lifted the lumber into the truck, then said one last thing. Not many lose themselves after. Then he shut the truck door, started the engine, and drove away. No lecture, no advice, just one sentence. Not many lose themselves after. Friday afternoon, Ethan received his final paycheck. He paid the child support first, immediately, before anything else. Then he did something different. He put on the boots, even though he had nowhere to go. That was the first habit. Put the boots on every morning. Move, search, work, even without a job. The second habit started when anger appeared. Instead of reacting, Ethan walked around the block, through the park, down quiet Seattle streets. 10 minutes, sometimes 20. By the time he returned, the anger had cooled. The third habit came from something simple. 10 seconds. Whenever someone frustrated him, he waited 10 seconds before speaking. The first time felt ridiculous, but those 10 seconds changed everything. They created space, and inside that space, anger stopped controlling the outcome. 2 weeks later, a small contractor offered him day work, framing a garage. Ethan worked quietly, focused, no shouting, no tools thrown. At lunch, the contractor watched him. You used to run crews, didn't you? Ethan nodded. How do you know? You move like someone who used to be in charge. He paused, calmer than most foremen I know. Ethan looked down at the boots, still dusty, still worn, but walking differently now. Where are you watching from? Drop your city. State in the comments. 3 months later, Ethan stood on another construction site, not as a foreman, just part of the crew. And that was fine. The work was steady. The paychecks arrived on time. The anger still showed up sometimes, but it didn't control him anymore, because now he understood something important. Emotions happen fast, but reactions can wait. Every other Saturday, Emma still ran toward him at the park. One afternoon, she looked down at the boots again. Did you build something today? Ethan smiled. Yeah. What? He looked at the worn leather, the creases, the dust, a better version of me. Emma laughed without understanding, but Ethan did, because losing the job had forced him to see something. Anger doesn't destroy a life all at once. It erodes it slowly, but discipline, small habit, quiet decisions can rebuild a man the same way buildings are built, one board at a time, one day at a time, one step at a time, one pair of worn-out boots at a time. Now I want to ask you something. What emotion has been controlling your life more than it should? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe for more stories like this.